Good morning. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm glad we all made it. Crypto made it through the year, through the new year. And here we are. It is currently, well, at least in Australia, the 3rd of January, 7:52 a.m. 3 days in, we just had the first day of the stock market, the US session, so the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, the S&P 500, they just had their first day. First regular trading day, Thursday, the 2nd of January, as yesterday was the public holiday, so no trading, I don't think, anyway. Let's open up a S&P 500 chart real quick and just have a look. So on the hourly time frame, you can see the tail end of the year. Now let's change this to New York actually. UTC -5 makes a bit of sense. Okay. So there's gaps all over the place as it fell. Let's say this gap here probably has been filled by this price action. For the most part anyway. Most of it has been filled up. But this one, look at this gaping hole right here. Will it come back up to fill that? Maybe. We'll see. If you zoom out on the daily, you can see we've been tracking up in a rising wedge from all the way back to where the bull run started basically. So it's looking kind of scary. As everyone knows, a rising wedge is a bearish pattern, kind of like a reversal pattern in this case. So, so what did today do? Today, kind of, if I put the session breaks on, this draws a line from where the day started. So that was back on New Year's Eve, 31st of December. So 2nd of January, corrective to start with, but then the last 3 hours, a bit of recovery. I wonder if that hit a fib level. Oh, the top of the day to the bottom, almost the 0.5 fib level as a resistance, but you can see it's actually come and lost that trend line climbing up, and it's now fighting. It's gonna have a fight to get back up on top of it, and that will be the Friday session once we get that. So hopefully we get something like that where it gets up above and back up on top of this trend line to go visit the all-time highs again, but we'll see. How did crypto do? So here's the SPY again. On the right, I've got DOGE, XRP, and Bitcoin. If we go to say the 15-minute chart, this is roughly what today's action was, the first proper day of trading in the new year for this S&P 500. Downtrend, and then a bounce. So you can sort of see how Bitcoin behaved very choppy, extreme, these are whipsaws basically. Rip it up, rip it all the way back down almost, rip it all the way back up, new high, all the way back down. Very volatile. Trading in that would have been very difficult, I would say. But let's check out, yeah, XRP was a little different. I think initially, if I just hover my mouse over where the opening hour or the opening 15 minutes was. So everything opened strong. And you had this moment where XRP was actually trending against Bitcoin and the stock market, because you had a fall on the S&P and then fall in Bitcoin, but XRP rose at that time. And then there was a savage candle back down, followed by a lower low, and then So right now, XRP is trying to bounce with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's back above 97K. It almost was approaching 98,000 just on day one of 2025, basically. So that's pretty cool. What do we got here? Dogecoin actually had a really incredible day. If we go to the daily chart, let me just hide all these drawings. You can see a 3.74% performance for the day. Yesterday was amazing for XRP, by the way. The 1st of January candle. Let's see what time zone I am. Yeah, okay. So on the daily chart, it all just goes UTC for the days, which is the universal time, GMT. But yeah, I think tomorrow will definitely spell how the rest of the week's gonna go, because we've got the weekend coming up. Just one more day, and then Bitcoin tends to go a little bit sideways during the week. During the weekend, it goes quiet. The volume drops off, the participation goes down. But yeah, we'll see if the SPY makes any splashes to influence crypto to catch up, perhaps, to the sentiment. But I think for the most part, the sentiment's kind of been reflected from the stock market into crypto. You can see the SPY started correcting that really heavy day. This was the FOMC Fed funds rate day, the 18th of December, I believe. That caused a really nasty dip on the SPY. Same for Bitcoin. Like, they just echoed that same drop. Really nasty correction to round the year off. But let's have a look at some trends on Bitcoin, some structure, market structure. So on the daily, we have not lost 90,000. We've maintained it as a level. Let me just turn off the little sub price levels so that we can see it better. So I was tracking like if you go down to the hourly chart, you can see I was tracking like a falling wedge type situation on Bitcoin. There was a high set in, the all-time high, huge correction off that high, and then it took time to get back up to basically a double top with this point here. So that provided 2 pivot points. So all-time high and then that point, so A and B, and then we basically got stuck underneath that trend line for some time, and then bam, we finally got up over it, came to back test it, bounced off the flipper, and here we are moving up. And I think, yeah, we'll see how we go. Like, we've achieved this high. This is a big one to get. This is the 100K level. If we can get back above that, it's game on, we will have changed the character back to a bull trend. Because at the moment, technically speaking, on this time frame, so this was all bull trend, right? Higher lows, higher highs. But once you got here, this push down here, where you broke these lows, the last lows of the uptrend, you changed the character to a downtrend. So it's been a bear trend since the top. And then, here, and then down here. So this was technically a lower low off that low. So that's typical of a bear trend, right? Lower lows, lower highs. But mostly what defines a bear trend is lower highs. So if you've got a lower high over here, and so far our high is here, and it is lower. It is lower, so for the most part. Until we see a push that goes back above 100,000, we're still dealing with this downtrend. This is still downtrend. So it needs to break above 100,000 before we get bullish again, I would argue. So that is how I'm defining the trend at the moment. I'm optimistic because I think January will be a really good month. If we go back to, let's turn all the drawings off and just analyze the monthly candles on Bitcoin. Everyone knows we had a fantastic November. Like, look at that solid green candle there. December, very scary gravestone or inverted hammer, which can point out a top, and then produce red candles afterwards, a downswing. But kind of like this, no, this was not really an inverted hammer. More so this one. You can see how this one actually, spelt the top of the market right there, that month of November 2021. So just looking at this view, where this month of January has a lot of work to do. Like, we have to make new all-time highs in January, basically. Or at least we have to close the month above, 96,500. So, Static says 115K by January 20th, which is inauguration. Thank you for the super chat, Static. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I am also, like Static, I am also optimistic for January. I think January's got a lot to offer as far as sentiment goes, with the brand new administration being quote unquote pro crypto or crypto friendly, coming into office. So that's the kind of sentiment, or that's the vibe out there, on platforms like X and YouTube. All the crypto related social media has been pushing that kind of sentiment, and I don't think they're wrong for that. I think it's pretty obvious. Donald Trump showed up to the Bitcoin conference last year and spoke positively about crypto. So we know that Gary Gensler is resigning on Inauguration Day, basically. So we're going to get a new SEC chair. For those who don't know, the SEC kind of calls the shots on regulation around exchanges and securities. So, and everyone knows poor old Ripple, XRP, got dragged through court for the last 4 years by the SEC. SEC trying to, peg them or pin them as being a security, and they aren't. They're not. So they are legally classified as an asset. Like, they're not, or basically like more like a commodity. They're not a security, which means they can't be dictated to by the SEC. Like, they can't fall under those rules and laws around securities, essentially. So that's all optimistic. I think if we get like a positive, or at least crypto-friendly SEC chair, that'll make a huge difference. That's going to make I don't think it's necessarily what drives the bull market, but it certainly helps. It's just another little element that fuels the bull run and the narrative, right? Because there's always narrative behind it. But a lot of these things you can get out of the charts anyway. Like, we've got our 4-year cycle. Lo and behold, we know that the government and certain governments of the world have been tough on crypto the entire existence of crypto's life. So especially Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations with governments and regulation and stuff. So crashes and rises, and here we are today. Like, price discovery not so long ago, leaps and bounds. So it doesn't need anything. Like Bitcoin doesn't need, ETFs necessarily. It doesn't need, a government to say that it's good or whatever. It seems to achieve price action without these things. These things do help. I'm not arguing against that, but it's not necessarily what is needed to continue going forward. Like it's not needed for the next bull run per se. But yeah, we'll see how it pans out. We'll see what happens. One thing that it may do, all of this brand new volume and involvement, and this is yet to be seen, but a theory is that it's gonna stabilize Bitcoin a bit because they're gonna increase the floor of the market and Bitcoin will maintain a higher low during the next bear market. So there's gonna be less deep of a pullback when we do get our bear market. That's the theory. We'll see how that pans out. Because I think if the stock market's going to crash, eventually, we're going to get a correction eventually on the stock market. I'm not saying it's anytime soon, but you'll always find someone that's going to say, oh, it's tomorrow or it's next week or whatever. There's always someone warning of the danger. But when we do eventually get it, I don't think crypto's going to weather that kind of storm. If we have a recession or anything or a big crash, I don't think crypto can hold up against that kind of storm in the stock market and in the financial sector. It's usually the first to fall. It's so as to how severe that becomes during a correction, we'll see. But for now, things are looking optimistic. XRP has just broken a trend line, by the way, and it's on the move. So that's cool. I'm going to go back to my XRP chart. I'm actually in XRP right now. I'll just change the song. This song's very loud. Okay, that's a bit better. So, let me zoom in on XRP. You can see my position's where that green line is, basically $2.2888. I really wish that I had held back off taking that position so that I could have bought somewhere in this dip here, but silly me FOMOing in this area, somewhere around here, thinking that we were gonna get, a climb back up to test the top of the trend, but it wasn't to be. The end of the year, leading up to this point, was the stock market selling off, crypto selling off as the year rounded out, basically. But it's been what did I title this stream as? Crypto starts strong in 2025. Yeah. So the reason I put that is because look at this huge explosion that we've just had into the new year. So that's good. Bitcoin has done the same thing. If we go to the daily chart, this is a good, pickup. We still have work to do, but this is a good first couple of days into the year. So now something just locally that I'm looking at for Bitcoin is this triangle. And also, if we go down to the 5-minute chart even and zoom out just to get the resolution, I've been liking trend lines lately. I mean, I've always liked them, but I've been hyper focusing on trend lines and when they break and what that means, So this downtrend has been switched, at least breaking that high there. It'd be nice to come and break that one, but so far so good. We're $2.40. This blue line here has been very sort of magnetic at this level. It's kind of like the point of control of this triangle, if you will. It's like the heart line or the center line of this triangle. So getting above it's good, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like this and and have to come and, you know, dance around it a bit more before we really get going. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But textbook, a shape like this is bullish, like some kind of bullish pennant or triangle. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this trend line. So the pivots that produced A and B right here, I think we're going to at least come and do a C at some point, whether it's here or whether it's, you know, like over here. It's going to happen at some point, I think. You know, provided that crypto doesn't just, provided Bitcoin doesn't just turn around and crash. But yeah, I'm looking, I'm feeling pretty hopeful for XRP at the moment. It's got a lot of promise. It's got a lot of, it's not far off its all-time high, really. $3.48 is what I have listed as all-time high. So yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. Let's do a bit of a Doge dive as well. Now, Doge has, if you go to the daily, let me turn off these sub levels, price levels. There we go. Okay, so there's 43. The cycle high is the dashed yellow line, so that's as high as we've been able to get in this bull market. It had a really big correction. So if you take a fib tool and just measure from the bottom to the top here, somewhat like that, it came and did a deep test, almost making it to the 0.618. Depending on where you start your fib retracement, like, you know, what's the most explosive part of this run so far? Where did it start? Some might argue back here, some might argue off that pivot, or this pivot. Either way you cut it, you know, that low was on its way, or at least at the golden pocket. It went through the 0.5 Fibonacci level, but I think the bottom of this pullback I would say it's in. It looks like it's working on making a swing back up. So if you take like an Elliott wave type scenario, it's like you've had a wave 1 with an ABC, so A, B, C correction, and then this could be the start of wave 3. So Doge has a lot of potential leading up into inauguration, you know, which is, as we all know, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are very tight at the moment. And, you know, with Trump coming into power, into presidency, Elon Musk is starting up that Department of Government Efficiency. So Doge, this is Dogecoin. It's his favorite altcoin or crypto. His pet crypto, basically. He bought a Shiba Inu dog, pet dog, back in like 2021, I think. So anyway, I do think there's going to be some more upside for Doge over the coming like 18 days, 17 days leading up to inauguration. I should probably start marking that out on the chart, actually. 20th. Let's put that in there. 20th of January. Let's label it as well. I'm going to change the color. We'll make it like orange because it's Donald Trump. I'll say I don't even know how to spell inauguration. Is that right? Inauguration. I'm going to Google it. Inauguration. It's UR, not ER. Inauguration. Cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll just call it inauguration. All right. Reduce the text size a bit. So it's roughly there. There's, you know, we have had a really nice swing down. This is the ABC that I'm talking about, ABC correction. Low got set in, and now it's like, okay, well, if this was the pivot low, then maybe we have permission to start climbing again, leading up into that. Kind of like an SNL thing, you know, buy the rumor, buy the hype, because there's a calendar date that everyone's looking to. So we'll see if we can keep this rally going, maybe even get a new cycle high. But yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me if we see some more days like this, these really explosive days where you're clearing 10 cents a day, like, you know, something like that on Doge. It would look, you know, it would maybe bring Doge up to like 60 cents or even the all-time high of Doge leading into inauguration. It could. It's not, you know, crypto does this in a bull market. These kind of moves exist. I mean, we've got one staring at us in the face right here. You know, these kind of moves with this magnitude and speed do happen. And they come from very quiet and small places. Very quiet and small places. Like this. Tight, squeezed. You know, people umming and ahhing about down and up. You know, speculation happens in here. So yeah, I don't think it's crazy to suggest that we get like a big rally leading up into inauguration on Dogecoin. We'll see how that goes. We'll keep this inauguration line on the chart, and we're going to see how that tracks. And remember, a lot of things are kind of stock market dependent as well. So we have to get permission by the US stock market to be bullish and stay bull marketing. So tomorrow, the Friday session in the stock market is going to be a big deal. Hopefully we can get the ball rolling and start trending up on that, on the SPY and like the NASDAQ. XRP is still working on this breakout, which is really cool. Coming up to that $2.40 level that I was talking about. Things don't usually happen in a straight line. Sometimes they do, but you know, this might take a bit of, you know, playing around before it gets to the top of the triangle. Just like it tends to do that. See, look, there's backwards, there's a lot of messing around, and you know, look at all that volatility before we came up and finally got the high. That's not a straight line up. That's a lot of drama. That's a lot of, you know, cleaning the floor. Talking about drama, let's have a look at the heat map for Bitcoin, because that's where we see where the liquidity is living, and that can cause drama, locally speaking. So this is the 3-day liquidation heat map. You can see there's a lot of long liquidity building back up on Bitcoin. We zoom out a little more. Let's get a 1-month view. Hopefully my mic level has been okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But there's short liquidity that exists, but there's a big hot spot around $100,000, just above it, 101. That's a big block of liquidity right there. Yeah, we'll see if we can go snag that up before, you know, this was on this big push down here. We snatched up all that, which was probably good for the market maker to collect all that liquidation. It left all this behind though. It didn't quite get down to 90,000. All right, let me go through some of the YouTube comments here. Bitcoin's currently pulling back while XRP's rising. It's like this inverse relationship between Bitcoin and XRP at the moment. What's up, Pablo, Villa Gomez, Rockets? What's up, buddy? Hey bro, glad to hear ya. Glad to see you in the chat. Smash up the like button, guys. Remember to do that. Helps me. Helps get more people, I think, to come into the stream. Hey bro, do me a favor and look at access. Access. Alright. Access. Guessing it's a crypto. ACS I'll load that up. It's just on a, that's on a climb. Uptrend. It's doing fine. I would track, you know, get your trend lines going, that kind of thing. Make sure it maintains the trend. If it breaks it, that's when it's like, oh shit, we're gonna, you know, then you look left to the previous swing low, and that is like, you know, a pivot. If it loses that pivot, then you're dealing with a downtrend again. But for now, you're continually breaking new highs, you know, so that's good. It's in an uptrend, if that is the right coin that you asked for. Access protocol, it seems to go opposite of the market in some ways. Yeah, probably like XRP. It's like this inverse relationship. Gianluca, hey y'all, what's up, dude? Crypto Storm says Happy New Year, Rick. Happy New Year, Crypto Storm. LL, loud and clear. Thanks, man. Liquidity means liquidation, or money that's on the table up for grabs by the market maker. So it's to do with leverage and futures and people, you know, borrowing money to amplify their trade. It's a dangerous game, but if you know what you're doing and you approach it sensibly and you know, with risk management, you can it can be very beneficial to use leverage, but it's dangerous. It's a very advanced trading style. It's the most advanced. You know, it's as if you're a beginner or it's your first couple of years, I wouldn't be messing with leverage too much or at all. I focus on spot. Spot is a lot safer. If you get stuck in something and you haven't stopped out, well, then it's not the end of the world. You can start, you know, if it's something that you believe in, you can start investing in it. That's just an option, right? But yeah, spot is a lot more forgiving than futures and margin and leverage and all that kind of thing. So that's all I'm talking about with liquidity. So basically the market makers will push the market around to go snag up liquidations or liquidity. It's just where the money lives. Gianluca says, can you TA BGB? Will it do a BNB? BGB, let's have a look. BGB. Just gonna open up this BitGet chart. I'm thinking this is the one you mean, BGB. I'm not sure what BGB is. It seems to be, yeah, look, it's very reminiscent of what Bitcoin's doing, you know. If I add in a Bitcoin comparison, it's kind of like echoing what Bitcoin did, delayed. So there's Bitcoin and there's BGB. It's like, kind of looks similar in that regard. Hopefully that's the same chart you mean. BNB, so Binance coin. Something I don't really look at too much, but BNB. Where's the crypto? BNB USD. If this is the BGB you're talking about, there's not too much similarity here. They're quite different. BGB's in this really nice, or had this really nice uptrend, while BNB was trending backwards, like back down in like a bull flag looking thing. It looks something like that, you know, and it's recently just broken out and retested the top. But anyway, if you're in this BGB thing, I'd be tracking this trend line here. It's actually see how it's departed the trend line? It's actually pulled away from it to the upside. That is parabolic. That means it's gone parabolic. So it's started to accelerate and lift the floor up. So you're using a steeper trend line now. This is no longer the one that you're using. You don't have to delete it, but I'll just delete it to show you the trend that it seems to be adhering to at the moment is this one. Lock that in. It's currently raining really heavy in Australia right now, in Brisbane where I live. But yeah, something like that. Oh, something like that. So it seems to have tagged support here, and then it's run into it a few times here. So it's really proving that this line is alive and well and healthy. So just look left at the swings, the previous swings. These are your targets to come up and beat. So this one's been beat. That one's been double topped over here. You can see that one's like kind of, so it's kind of doing like a an ascending triangle right here. You're getting this. So this could be a breakout line. You know, if price gets above that, it's game on. You know, that line is roughly, what's that? $6.47. 647. And that's on BGB. Oasis. Oasis on Coinbase. Okay, let's have a look. Oasis Network, is that ticker ROSE, R-O-S-E? I'm guessing so. Go on the daily. Oof, it's like pumped and dumped a few times. Look at that head and shoulders right here. Nasty. Big correction down. There is a trend line. Can you see it? It's from like over here. It's a very like kind of there's not the total uniformity that I'm looking for. So maybe if we connect it to here and here, maybe something like that. But much similar to BGB, like it needs to prove itself that it's using this line as support before climbing. It's done it in the past. Look, you can see that it uses lines to bounce off as it climbs. But the thing is, once you lose a trend line, that's it. Like it's very likely to crash after that. Like this is a good example. Ooh. Did my music just freeze? It did. Okay. Hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, once you lose a trend line like this, it's very likely to correct, just like this. You know, what happened here. And even, you know, it fights to get back, but it just can't quite get there. And same with a trend line on the downswing. Like, you know, if you've been crashing for some time, there's likely to be a breakout point, which happened over here. Like you had, you know, A, B, C, C, and then, you know, all this repeated testing of this line until finally, bam, it broke. And you had this nice rise out of it. That's why I use trend lines are great. Trend lines are very useful for that. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this stream up. XRP is still looking okay, still climbing there, but good to touch base with you guys in the new year. I'm looking forward to seeing how January pans out and the rest of the year, like the rest of this bull market. So you'll catch me streaming as often as I can, especially if there's a lot of action, a lot of things to talk about. But thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next stream. Have a good day. Have a good night.